Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me, Lily, also Lee. It feels like such an important lineup today, and it gets me a bit shy to talk about my work, but I'm very much positive that this is by far the most exciting subject that I have in my life, which is the folk Brazilian art. So I want to share my screen with all of you. Please let me know if you can still
yes, just yeah, perfect.
All right, sounds great. So what you're looking at is the name of my project, which is Novos Para Nós. It translates to new to us. And I want to first started first. I want to talk about how I see art, which is basically never optional. I never faced it, or at least I never had the option not to live with art. Even though I wasn't raised in a family that was very much leaning to the art world. It was always something that was inside of me, and I always kid around and say that people have things, or at least clicks, that they like, that they have a big identifying process with it. And definitely art is mine. Some people like to do the gardening. Some people like to go to the gym. I think that every day I have to have the contact with art. So everybody makes mistakes in their lives, and I graduated in advertising, which has nothing to do with art itself, at least not in the first moment. And of course, I'm kidding, but it was such a big adventure to go to advertising school and marketing school. It was when I randomly went to an art exhibition just on the folk Brazilian art. And this is when I found out what was the folk Brazilian art, which basically can be resumed to symbols of identity that the people create and they keep throughout the things that they end up creating. I was totally mixed up on that day by the things that I saw at the exhibition. I had no clue what that was, but a bit of a time, I started to look out for the subjects and the themes and the artists, and I think, leaning towards the idea of going through Brazil and looking out for those people. By that time, I was already working at advertising agency as an art director. And as soon as I realized, I started doing the strips around Brazil. And I was anxious to always find someone else or someone new or someone the books or the researchers weren't actually telling me. And I did find a lot of things through the way. Years later, about 4 years later, doing those trips, I decided to quit my job, hop in a car and drive around Brazil, searching for those people and building up this project, which is Novos Para Nós. So it all sounds very much romantic. I thought it just wouldn't happen. But then we are here 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years after that day. And so far, I've driven around over 100,000 kilometers around Brazil. I visited 21 states, and I've actually written and told hundreds of stories about the lives and the work of so many artisans that we have here in Brazil. Everything is online. Everything is on the Novos Para Nós website or Facebook page or Instagram page. Everyone is invited to see that. And not only I did talk about the artisans, but I did talk about some of the places that I didn't know in Brazil, that I think that I only had the chance to discover it once I was in the road. I also talked about people that have these, as we call it, the popular or the folk knowledge that we basically did never learn them at school. So I got to see a bunch of the Brazil that I did not know. And one of these people that I was very much happy to get to know was Efigenia Rolim, which is basically why I'm here today to talk about her. She is this 89 years old lady who is simply fantastic. She was born in Abicampo, Minas Gerais state, which borders to the state that I live in, which is São Paulo state. And she started her artistic projection in Curitiba, which is the capital of Paraná state. She's known as the Queen of Candy Rap for over 30 years. She was basically walking down the street in Curitiba when she saw something sparkly, something shiny by the train tracks. She bent down to get it, and she realized that was just a candy wrap. Well, that got her thinking. She thought about the relationships that we establish with people and concluded that as long as the wrap had a function of enveloping the candy, it would never be tossed out. So it would spark people's interest. She then named it The Measly Descended. She wrote a poem to the candy wrap that she found on the street. And then she started to collect all candy wraps that she could possibly find, thinking, well, if I collect one wrap at a day, I'll have 365 by the end of the year. While people would just kept calling her crazy lady. And she always says, well, no one thought that I could possibly succeed. Anyways, the wraps took over her clothes, and alongside other materials generally considered to be garbage, they are raw material for sculptures, also comprising presentations and poems. She says, well, people are very much impressed with the amount of work that she undertakes to make the pieces, but there's nothing else she could possibly like better. She keeps saying that it takes imagination and will, which I think it's very much inspiring. Her work is punctuated by the process of accumulation, destruction, construction, and bricolage. And her pieces display narratives inspired by fairy tales. Her characters and stories transit always between reality and some exceptional world, often being manipulated through the educational use of repetition. So she's always like starting to repeat all of her process and all of her ideas, themes, and characters, which I would love to show you right now is the video that we prepared on her work.
Ela apareceu de outro país, né? Ela é de outro país do mundo. Ela é lá da França, sei lá de onde, Japão, daquele lado lá. Então ela apareceu na floresta, numa floresta diferente do Brasil. Ele veio, vindo, igual todo mundo faz assim, né? Vem, de repente chega no Brasil, ele chegou numa floresta, ele não estava querendo ir embora. Daí ele não sabia, daí perguntava o nome dele, eu falei, eu sou um bizarro. Eu não quis falar o nome dele. Aí o pessoal falava lá na floresta, o bicho chamava ela, você é curta e grossa. Daí ela era muito amiga de Jesus, né? Muito amiga de Jesus. Ela falou, Jesus, faz eu crescer. Eles estão me chamando de curta e grossa. Eu quero lamber o céu, eu quero ver o gostinho do céu. Jesus, o gostinho do céu é impossível. Não, mas você pode fazer o mesmo, você tem o poder na mão. Jesus cresce. Ela cresceu as pernas. Aí Jesus falou, você tá tão bonita, Ginfa. Deu risada. Você tá tão bonita, Ginfa. Você tá com as pernas compridas e curta e grossa. Aí ela falou assim, não, você pode fazer, eu quero ver o gostinho do céu. Então eu faço crescer. Cresce, cresceu o pescoço. Daí ele falou assim, nossa, tá tão... Aí ela ficou, olhou assim, ó, agora tá certo, né? Igual você tá com o pescoço, perna comprida, pescoço comprido, você pode comer as folhas mais altas que hoje nenhum animal busca, pode comer. Seu alimento pode ser lá nas folhas. Não, mas eu quero lamber o céu. Ele falou, não, eu quero ver o gostinho do céu. Ele pegou e pôs uma língua azul nela. Falou, pronto, agora você tá com o gostinho do céu. Aí ela falou assim, ela desafiou Jesus. Ela falou assim, só porque o Senhor é Senhor, só porque o Senhor é Senhor, só o Senhor que pode ver. Falou 3 vezes Senhor. Só porque o Senhor é Senhor, só o Senhor pode ver o gostinho do céu. E diz que fez assim com a língua para ele, né? Aí ele pôs eu tinha uma outra que tinha a luz e as estrelas na língua dela. Aí Jesus jogou a luz e as estrelas na língua dela. Pronto, o gostinho do céu é a lua e as estrelas.
Sim.
Aí ela ficou com a língua para fora, né? Aí ficou com a língua para fora, daí o ratinho, né? O Fifico, o ratinho, um ratinho que gostava de ficar insultando ela, curta e grossa. Daí o ratinho falou, ô Gifa! Aí Jesus falou, Gifa! Falou assim, ô Gifa! Assim, nela, né? Aí ela pegou, ela era infante, Jesus falou, Gifa! Daí o ratinho fez, ô Gifa! Você é gostoso? Você tem... Só o céu que pode ter a luz e estrela. Você tem o céu da boca, mas a luz e estrela você não pode ter dentro da sua boca. Tem que mostrar. Aqui o céu da boca. O ratinho é muito esperto, né? O ratinho finfico. Você tem o céu da boca, mas o seu céu da boca não pode ter luz e estrela. Tem luz e estrela só o céu, né? Do céu. Agora, por que você não pode ter a luz ter no seu céu da boca? Tem que mostrar ao povo.
So this is her with her clothing and her pieces, basically the world that she created and the world that she lives in. And just before we're done, I brought some people here that would like to just say a little something. This is a picture that I took the first day that I was in the road, and it says, if you fight, you conquer.
Obrigado. Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Muito obrigado mesmo. Obrigado.
So you're all invited to join Novos Para Nós. If you're an Instagrammer, if you're on Facebook, or just the website Novos Para Nós, you're going to find tons of other stories of other people. Thank you so, so much.
Thanks a lot, Renan. It was very fun to see her story.
This is what makes me most happy, right, in the world. That there's people so much their own, so much able to talk to imagination, and it's so beautiful your work. I hope you're going to make. What are you going to do? A museum? It's going to be collected somewhere someday.
Well, hopefully, I don't know. That might be in the future plans. Just finished an exhibition which Lily went to, and we talked over and over about Eugenia's work. She was one of the 4 women that we had on display, and I have tons of hundreds of other sculptures at home that I keep as my personal collection. But it feels to me such an honor, such a joy to share with other people as much as I can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lee.
Amazing work.